Brienne, you lucky because I was gonna kill you. Like the last 5 days, I was gonna kill you. Look, I just kept letting you live because I've been chilling with Chrissy and like she be talking to you. You feel me? I'm gonna kill you and your girlfriend for real, for real. But like, you lived. You alright right now.
The front door locked. I'm on your. 1, 2, 3. Who the that you? I don't know. Get your the other side of this gate. Who the dumb nigga? This can't be one of my friends.
I was inhaling too much of the smoke, so my husband told me to go in the house and lay down. So I did, because I couldn't breathe. And 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, I'm calling, texting, nothing. I need my baby home, like 15 days ago type home, because she has never been away from me this long.
Within the last few years, going live on social media platforms like Facebook or TikTok has become more and more popular. It's a great way for people to connect with their followers and chat with them in real time. The following stories feature people who all went live on social media, but chose to do so during some very bizarre and disturbing times. They live streamed right before or right after horrible murders took place.
That was the dramatic end to a police chase in South Jersey, live streamed on Facebook. Today, we've learned Terrence Matthews, who investigators say killed his ex-girlfriend's grandmother and 9-year-old brother in Willingboro, stands accused of yet another murder.
This super insane story begins on February 18th of 2019. It's so crazy that it almost sounds like it came out of some sort of action movie. There was a violent altercation in Wellingboro, New Jersey, where a firearm went off multiple times. A 21-year-old man named Deval Williamson was struck and was killed while he was sitting in his car. Nobody was immediately arrested for the incident, but there were plenty of evidence to go through. By looking through this evidence, which included suspicious text messages, detectives were able to pinpoint a likely suspect, 23-year-old Terrence Matthews. They believed that Terrence could have been in contact with the victim about a deal involving illegal substances. Terrence was brought in for questioning in connection to the incident a little over a week after the murder, but he was later released because investigators just didn't have enough evidence yet to charge him with Deval's murder. They did, however, confiscate Terrence's cell phone and keep him under the radar while they searched for more evidence that would hopefully lead to his arrest. A couple of months later, on April 26th of 2019, detectives were looking through Terrence's Facebook Messenger account when they found something interesting. It was a picture of a fake $100 bill. It happened to be the same $100 bill that they had found at the scene of the crime. Once again, Terrence was brought in for more questioning. Surely, this time they had enough evidence to charge Terrence, right? Wrong. Shockingly, he was released yet again. Because he was released, he was able to later take the lives of 2 more innocent people. Fast forward to the events of June 20th, 2019. Terrence went to the home of his ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old Chrissy Williams. Terrence had an argument with Chrissy over Facebook earlier on that same day, but at the time they were not together. While high on illegal substances, Terrence assaulted Chrissy before killing her grandmother, 68-year-old Jennifer Vassell, and her 9-year-old brother, Eshawn Malthan Jr., inside their home. He did this by striking them with a sharp object and forcing them underwater in the bathtub and keeping them there. He did this all in front of Chrissy, who he claimed to love. Terrence then grabbed Chrissy and held her against her will, all while threatening her with a deadly weapon. He forced her into his own car and drove around town, stopping at multiple different locations, including a Dunkin' Donuts and a Wawa store. While they were at the Wawa, Chrissy managed to escape when Terrence wasn't looking. She told one of the employees what had just happened, and they called 911 as Terrence made a run for it. While in his car hiding from law enforcement, Terrence went onto Facebook Live and started streaming. He addressed Chrissy and said he was sorry and that he loved her despite what he did.
Nothing ever in this world will come between me. Like, I really love you. I really love you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything I ever did. To you and your mom, I'm sorry. I hope this is a lesson to you, bro. Like, make sure the next one just steer straight. Just don't wild out. You feel me? I love you though.
Can you imagine someone brutally killing your little brother and your grandmother right in front of you, and then they have the nerve to tell you that they love you? Terrence's remorse definitely doesn't seem real. A couple of seconds later, Terrence then addresses someone else named Brienne. It's not clear who this person is, only that it must be someone that Chrissy cared about, because he basically says he would have killed her too if not for Chrissy.
Brienne, you lucky because I was gonna kill you. Like the last 5 days I was gonna kill you. But I just kept letting you live because I've been chilling with Chrissy and like she be talking to you, you feel me? I'm gonna kill you and your girlfriend for real. But like, you lived. You alright right now.
The cold way that Terrence talks about taking people's lives without any emotion on his face is nothing short of chilling. But he also shows a little bit of humanity when he seems to say that he has cried out for help in the past, but nobody has paid attention to him.
You feel me? I'm trying to tell people, calling out for help. Nobody was really listening. Like, they want rather send me off instead of me having somebody to talk to, the ones I really want to be around. I want to be around strangers, you feel me?
Finally, Terrence addresses his last victim, DeVell Williamson. He insults him by basically calling him a coward in the moments before his death.
She was not tough at all. You feel me? But Chrissy, I love you with all my heart, to my family, to my brother.
The live stream is interrupted as law enforcement finally spot Terrence's vehicle and go after him. He starts live streaming again moments later while he is still in the middle of a high-speed chase. Cop cars surrounding him.
Cops on me. I got the cops on me.
You can hear the sound of sirens coming from seemingly all directions. You can also hear Terrence's vehicle accelerating as he pushes it to go even further. This is clearly a recipe for disaster, and it is no longer just his life that is at risk, but everyone else who is on the road. And then, just moments later, you hear the sound of loud screeching as Terrence jerks the wheel to keep from crashing. His eyes are wide, but he seems to be having fun. At one point, he's even smiling at the camera and seems to think this whole thing is a big joke.
I got the cops on me, bro. Hey, yo, what's good, bro? You know I love you, my everything I love, you know I love you. You feel me? Chrissy, I love you. I'm about to let these can have it.
Terrence still looks calm as he jerks the wheel one last time before the video abruptly ends.
Damn, bro.
Terrence's vehicle crashes, and at last the chase is over. Take a look at what was left of his car, which was sitting destroyed on the street. Terrence was removed from the vehicle and taken to the hospital for treatment. But the moment that it was clear that his injuries weren't life-threatening, he found himself in handcuffs and facing a shocking number of very serious charges. He ended up pleading guilty to all 3 murders, including DeVell Williamson, Eshawn Mathlin Jr., and Jennifer Vassell. He ended up taking a plea deal, which led to him receiving just 60 years behind bars instead of life without parole.
I've been calling and texting and leaving messages and nothing.
Janelle Carwell went missing on April 21st of 2017 on what happened to be her 16th birthday. It had started out as a wonderful day full of celebration with her family and friends. There was no reason to believe that Janelle's future wasn't bright and full of promise. She was hardworking, determined, and had big aspirations for her future career.
Janelle was a loving, very intelligent, smart young woman who wanted to be a doctor, who was an honor student.
Throughout the day on April 21st, Janelle had seemed completely happy. She was enjoying herself and the quality time with her friends. It seemed like everything was completely normal.
She had not reporting any problems to anyone. The neighbors saw nothing. They were having a cookout. She was inviting friends over. So it was nothing for us to suspect that there was something going on.
But late at night, Janelle and her stepfather, Leon Tripp, went missing without a trace. According to Tanya Tripp, who is Janelle's mother and Leon's wife, the two had gone out to help a friend of Leon's who was having car trouble. Janelle had decided to go along to help because she was good at using the GPS system on her phone and would likely be able to help Leon locate the stranded friend. Now, immediately this sounds pretty odd. As Angela Hardin, a pastor and friend of the Tripp family, pointed out, most adult men are not going to take their young stepdaughters out in the middle of the night to help another man who is having car trouble.
What stepdad want his daughter to go with him to help another guy at 1 o'clock in the morning?
But then again, all family dynamics are different, and maybe this was normal for them. But what wasn't normal, according to Tanya, was the fact that as the night went on, neither Leon nor Janelle were responding to any of her messages. This was what concerned her, and was the reason that she eventually called 911 and reported them both missing.
I told him, I said, well, when you on your way back, honey, please call me and let me know that y'all okay. And he said, all right.
So law enforcement go out and follow the direction that Tanya says she believes that Leon and Janelle went. And sure enough, they find the white pickup truck that belongs to Leon, located not too far away from where they lived. But the truck has been abandoned and there are no signs of struggle. They even had the truck analyzed to make sure that nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but nothing turned up.
We processed the truck to make sure if it was any trace evidence, any physical evidence, DNA or anything of that nature, to show signs of a struggle or something had happened, and we found none.
So where did the two of them go? While detectives continued their frantic search for the missing pair, Tanya turns to social media to ask for assistance from the public in finding them. Tanya seems worried about Janelle and Leon and says that they need to be found as soon as possible. Through social media, Tanya asks for donations so that they can set up a reward for information about Janelle and Leon in hopes of motivating others to help with the search. Donations and well wishes from people wanting to help bring the teen home safely began to come in, one after another, and Tanya turned to social media again alongside her pastor, Angela Hardin, to say thank you.
Thank y'all for all the love. I see it, all the likes. Oh, isn't that beautiful?
It is.
Isn't that beautiful?
Thank you.
At this point, Angela still thinks this is a simple missing person case.
What's important is that she come home.
Meanwhile, detectives do some background searches about Leon, and what they find is pretty concerning. He is not exactly the kind of person that you would want your child, especially your teenage daughter, alone with at all. The fact that they were presumably together and missing at the same time made this situation all the more serious for law enforcement, who began to wonder if this whole thing could be a lot more complex than they ever realized.
It may be more to this than just a simple missing person.
Leon Tripp had a dark, violent criminal past and had spent time behind bars. In fact, he had met Tanya while he was still in prison. They later married and he moved in with Tanya and Janelle after he got out. Not only were the crimes from Leon's past violent crimes, but they were crimes against children.
Leon Tripp was in prison. He had some charges. He had some cruelty to children charges.
This was not someone that Tanya should have trusted to be alone with her teenage daughter. In fact, many people would probably agree that Leon should not be around any children at all, especially while unsupervised.
Tanya Tripp should have protected Janelle from the very beginning. 2 years ago when she met him.
The search for Leon and Janelle continues, and eventually law enforcement gets some interesting information about Leon.
He had briefly stayed with certain friends in Atlanta.
But the key thing to note here is that it was just Leon who was spotted, not Janelle. So if the two were supposed to have been together, but now Janelle is gone, this makes Leon look pretty suspicious. And it wasn't like he had been checking in with law enforcement or even his friends and family to give an update on her whereabouts. If anything, it seemed like he didn't want to be found.
Stepfather was spotted in a location without the presence of the daughter. He had a relationship with individuals in Atlanta. He had friends. He actually made 2 or 3 trips back and forth while we were actively looking for him and the daughter.
And so an arrest warrant is put out for Leon, and Janelle is identified as a possible victim of kidnapping. So what did Tanya have to say about the fact that now her husband was being considered a suspect and there was a search warrant out for his arrest? She seems to be in complete denial and wouldn't acknowledge even the tiniest possibility that Leon could have taken her daughter. One reporter recalls what Tanya's reaction had been when it was revealed to her that many were suspecting that Leon might have done something to Janelle.
She did show concern for her daughter. But when I asked her, hey, investigators believe that he's taken her, she was very defensive.
That's when Tanya turned against law enforcement and tried to say that they had it all wrong. Investigators who had been working on the case began noticing Tanya's recent behavior and found it pretty bizarre.
She even went on the media speaking out against the sheriff's office, saying that we were wrong and we were falsely accusing her husband.
Meanwhile, a lot of people had been following along with this case through social media, and they really felt for Tanya. Not only was her daughter missing, and now her husband was off who knows where, but she was also supposedly really, really sick.
I do have cancer. I have brain cancer and I have lung cancer.
Tanya says that because of her illness, she wasn't able to go along to help look for Janelle on the night she went missing. She had only been able to stay home and wait and worry, hoping that there would be some sort of news about her whereabouts.
I was inhaling too much of the smoke, so my husband told me to go in the house and lay down. So I did, because I couldn't breathe. And 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, I'm calling, texting, nothing. I need my baby home, like 15 days ago type home, because she has never been away from me this long.
This seems like too much for any mother to have to bear. A lot of mothers probably have a difficult time going a few hours or more not knowing where their children are, never mind week after week.
The community really felt for Tanya Tripp. They saw a grieving mother who wanted to know where her child was.
Law enforcement is searching far and wide for Leon, and at last they find him. He's located at a U-Haul facility, and he's perfectly fine. But here's the real shock. He's not alone. Tanya is with him, much to the surprise of detectives. So Tanya knows that everyone has been looking day and night for Leon, and she just happens to be with him when detectives finally find him. Something is clearly not adding up here. Until this point, law enforcement hadn't thought that Tanya had anything to do with Janelle's disappearance. They thought she was a frantic mother who genuinely didn't know where her daughter could be and just wanted to bring her home. But now Tanya is looking pretty suspicious.
We were extremely shocked when we found her and him actually together. And that's when we really got that sick feeling that, you know, this case is really not heading in a good direction.
So how does Tanya go about explaining what she's doing with Leon while everyone else is out looking for her daughter?
Tanya Tripp was pretty much sticking with her story, and that when she was traveling to Atlanta, she had just seen him walking along the road. And it was just a big coincidence that they had found each other.
It's not a very convincing excuse, that's for sure. And it's not an excuse that detectives are going to buy. That's because all of a sudden, everything is starting to make sense, but not in a good way. In a horrible, very disturbing way. Tanya had been lying all along. She was lying about what happened on the night she called to say Leon and Janelle were missing. She was lying about not having any idea where her daughter and husband could be. She was even lying about the cancer she claimed to have had. All of it was one big lie that she had just expected everyone, including law enforcement, to buy. The only problem was she hadn't thought much further beyond that.
Come to find out that she only had that initial story. She never prepared for the follow-ups.
So let's take a look back and listen to part of the 911 call Tanya made back in April of 2017.
It wasn't an alarming call until you go back and put all the pieces together.
Okay, ma'am, as I'm talking to you, we have a deputy en route to you.
Okay.
We truly believe that the mother knew that we would never find the child where she said we were to look for it.
So after Leon is arrested and charged with kidnapping, Tanya is also charged with hindering the investigation. This news came as a shock to the public and to Tanya's family members. They thought that surely some sort of huge mistake had been made. Ernestine Howard, Tanya's neighbor, recalls what her reaction was when she got a call from Tanya in jail to explain what happened.
I asked her, what in the world? I said, Tanya, please tell me that's not true. Are you serious? And she said yes.
So to what degree was Tanya involved with Janelle's disappearance? Was this all about the money for her? After all, people had donated thousands of dollars to be used towards a reward in hopes of bringing Janelle home safe.
That's the $64,000 question. The mother gave several interview accounts, but each story was inconsistent, but they would tell a little bit more about their dealings. They were trying to paint another picture.
So basically, now that all the information they had been given had been made up, law enforcement decided to press Leon further for more information. After all, he was already behind bars now and facing some pretty serious charges. What would be the point in continuing to lie? Eventually, Leon does begin to open up and tells a different story about what was actually going on the night that Janelle supposedly disappeared. He said that he and the teen did leave together, but that they had parted and gone different ways. Leon says he gave Janelle cash so that she could catch the bus and take it back home, but that she never made it back. At this point, investigators had enough evidence to believe that what they were working on was a homicide investigation. It was time to announce to the public the heartbreaking news. They believed that Janelle was no longer alive.
We no longer consider this a missing persons investigation, but we are now conducting an active homicide investigation.
At this point, it was nearing a year since Janelle had been declared a missing person, and there was still no closure.
We've been praying that we wouldn't go into a year not knowing where Janelle is.
But not long after investigators had announced that they were considering this to be a homicide, did they receive the tragic news.
We received a phone call from a citizen and had discovered what they believed to be human remains.
The search for the beautiful 16-year-old had come to a heartbreaking end. It was a homeowner from Augusta who unknowingly stumbled upon what would turn out to be Janelle's remains. It was a bone that was sticking out of the ground in the backyard of a vacant house that caught their eye and caused them to notify authorities right away. Of course, at this point, so much time had passed since Janelle had disappeared that the body was in a pretty unrecognizable state. But the good news was, if you can call it that, Janelle happened to have had a dentist appointment just days before her disappearance. This meant that by using dental records and DNA, investigators would be able to identify without a doubt whether or not this was the missing teen. And sure enough, it was. Tanya and Leon were both charged with murder. Leon was also charged with kidnapping, cruelty to children, and bodily injury. Unfortunately, this case is not over yet. Tanya and Leon remain behind bars, where they belong, but there is still a lot more information to gather before justice can truly be served. The latest update to this case was made in November of 2023, when they were both re-indicted to face additional charges. The full list of charges that both of them now face include malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, cruelty to children in the first degree, and finally, concealing the death of another person. It is still not clear how Janelle was killed. One of the most tragic parts about this case is the fact that, when you think about it, Janelle had never truly been missing. She may have been missing to law enforcement and to the community who is searching for her, but she wasn't missing to her mother, the person who is supposed to care about her the most. Because if prosecutors are right, her mother knew that she was dead all along. It may be a while before we know what Leon and Tanya's fates are. If they are found to be guilty, what do you think would be a fair sentence for each of them? Let us know what you think in the comments. This last story took place on April 4th of 2020 at a house party. As most people can probably remember, there wasn't much to do during the spring of 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic was at its peak, and you were only supposed to socialize with small groups of people if you socialized at all. You certainly couldn't be going out to bars or clubs because they were all closed due to social distancing. But one young man named Ernest Wilson III had an idea. He thought that even though most of the places that parties were usually held were closed, he could find a way to still bring a few people together without getting in any trouble. And maybe he would also be able to make some cash on the side. So even though there were lockdowns going on, Ernest would book an Airbnb and host weekend parties. He would be the one to pay for the rental and the supplies, but he would charge everyone who came to the party a small entry fee. That way he could pay for everything he needed for the party, but still have some money left over to keep as a profit. He would also encourage people to bring their own alcohol to share in order to bring down the cost of the party. For the most part, Ernest's plan worked well at first, but one problem he did experience from time to time was uninvited guests showing up at his parties. The reason that some of these people were not invited was because of how they had behaved at past parties or different arguments they got into. This was something that Ernest was said to be worried about at this particular party in April of 2020. He had even posted on Facebook telling people not to come if they had not been invited because they would not be allowed in. If anyone wanted to bring a friend who he didn't know, they would need to discuss it with him first. Ernest live streamed part of the party, which started out smoothly. Someone recommended that they all play hide and seek, and he decided to join in.
switch. Oh, that like, I don't know.
While he's live streaming, Ernest can be seen going into different rooms, turning on the lights on and off as he looks for the other people playing. He also seems to be keeping an eye on things because he knows if anything goes wrong, he's going to be the one held responsible. But aside from someone getting sick in one of the bathrooms and Ernest being the one stuck having to clean it up, it seems like everyone's having a good time.
I gotta clean up, throw up in the morning. I'm in the bathroom trying to clean up, throw up and shit. I'm in the bathroom, yo. I'm cleaning up, throw up. Y'all high everywhere but here. Hold on. Yeah, I'm cleaning up, throw up, so. I'm ready to go out front.
Ernest is walking around in the dark while counting, giving the players extra time to find their hiding spots.
12, 13. I can hear y'all. 14, 15. I can see y'all. 16, 17. Don't walk this way, because you're going to get caught. 18. 19, thank you, go the other way. You're making it too easy. 20.
That is, however, until an unknown man was spotted hopping the fence and entering the property without permission. This concerned Ernest because he didn't know who this person was. This whole thing is captured on camera. At first, you can tell that Ernest thinks that the person jumping the fence is just someone he knows who is messing with him. But then he seems to realize that the person is actually a stranger.
The front door locked. I'm on your 1, 2, 3. Who the f is you? I don't know. Get your get your the other side of this gate. Who the f? Dumb nigga. This can't be one of my friends.
That's when he takes off running, and the camera moves out of focus. The stranger appears to be chasing him.
Up on the ground. Hey, Pride! Pull that shit up!
The next part is tragic and isn't shown on camera because the video abruptly cuts out. But what law enforcement says happened is that the man who jumped the fence, along with the person he showed up with, announced that they would be robbing the place. They carried a weapon with them, which they fired twice. They struck Ernest, tragically killing him, and then fled the scene. Even though several years have passed since this whole horrible ordeal, there still isn't much of an update and much more questions than answers. Investigators don't know if this was a random attack or if the killers specifically targeted Ernest's party for some reason. There have been no arrests made or any charges filed, and it appears that it is at a dead end. Law enforcement has asked that if the public has any information or tips to please report to them. Ernest was just 23 years old when he was killed. What do you think could have happened that tragic night in 2020? Could the killers have gotten away with this, or is the answer to the mystery right around the corner? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.